Good day, gentlemen and ladies. Fred Johnson coming back at you from Orlando, Florida with another teacher tech tip video. This is part 2 in the GPA calculator series. So last video I showed you how to create a GPA calculator. We'll pull it up here that you can update with your grades weekly or daily or as often as you would like, and where it will live update as you change the percentage. It will update the letter grade and the value for you as you type in those new numbers. The link is in the description. If you missed that video, go back and watch it. It shows you how to create this. Today, we're going to expand on this video. So, most places that I've worked at in my teaching career have used that traditional A through F, 4 through 0 GPA scale, where 0 is an F all the way up to an A. It's different across the world, across the country, different states. Even within the same school, sometimes you'll see different grading scales. So how do we reflect that on this GPA calculator? Some places use plus-minus systems. Some places use a weighted system for honors and AP. So let's make that reflection today. So let's say you are working in a system that has honors and AP courses, where if you get a B in an honors course, you get 4 points instead of 3 to reflect the challenge and the difficulty of that course. What we're going to do is we will add another column into this GPA calculator. For simplicity's sake, I will add it to the left of column A, but you can put it anywhere. So to add this column, I'll right-click on column A, click on Insert One Column Left, and now I've got a new column here, and we'll simply call this Scale. You can call it whatever you want. And then for each course, we'll put in either regular, honors, or AP/IB. And these are adjustable. You can name them what you want, but for simplicity's sake, these are the options that we'll use today. If I like the formatting that I have over here, I can simply take this formatting, select it, click on the paintbrush, and paint that format right over here so it fits right in. And if I want my titles for GPA calculator, I can simply merge these cells so everything matches up how it was previously formatted. So what I'm going to do here now is make some adjustments to where my GPA calculator, the range that it's getting my information from. So let's go ahead and give these some titles. We'll call this percentage. Again, you can call it whatever you want. Letter and value. You can call this grade. I guess we'll call it grade to make it consistent with what we have up here, and value. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create 2 other sets of values, because this is your regular score. So actually I'll call this regular. I'll make another one for honors and another one for AP/IB. Very important that whatever wording you use here is the same wording you use here. Spelling, only way it's going to be able to read this is if everything is exactly the same as far as spelling. I don't believe it's case sensitive though. So in my experience, if you take an honors or an AP course and you fail, you still get 0 points on your GPA. If you get a D, you still get 1 point on your GPA. But when you get to that C level, that's when things start to change. So in an honors course, instead of 2, typically you would get 3 points on your GPA. In some cases, in AP or IB, you would get 4 to reflect the challenge of the course you're taking. And from there, you get 4 for a B in an honors class and 5 for a B in an AP/IB class, and up the system it goes. So I've simply just built the range of scores for what I could possibly get in each course. So now how do I get these values to reflect and to know what each course is? So I'm going to go back in, and you can see that I have the VLOOKUP formula pulling from my initial range that I created last time. Again, if you didn't watch the last video, you can watch it. The link's in the description to see how we built this out the first time. What we're going to do now is we're going to add an IFS formula to choose which scale to operate from. So right now it's operating from the regular scale. We want it to choose based on whatever it says here. So I'm actually going to leave this current VLOOKUP in here, but we're going to add a little bit to it. So I'm going to click my mouse pointer right after that equal sign. I'll actually operate in here so we have more space. So right after that equal sign, I'm going to put in ifs. And then I'm going to put a parentheses, an open parentheses. And it's going to ask ifs what? What's the condition? Well, if this A3, whatever this cell contains, is equal to this, then I want to use this first VLOOKUP. So anytime using an if formula, you put in the condition, and then you put a comma, and then you tell it what it'll do if that's actually the case. So now it knows if this says regular, use this scale. Great. What if it's not? So that's where we're going to put in a comma, and we'll put in another possibility. So now if A3 equals honors, comma, now we're going to do another VLOOKUP. So instead of using that previous scale, we'll tell it, all right, we want to look up the honor score. So we're going to choose the range. We'll press comma. No, sorry, before we do the range, we're going to choose the percentage, so this score, comma, and then we'll choose the range, which is this scale that we created, comma, and then it's asking us what column do you want to output information from. Do you want to output from column 1? There are letters up here, but when you're putting it in a formula, it uses numbers. Column 1, column 2, column 3, or column 4. Well, since it's honors, we want to output from column 4, so we'll put a 4 there, close parentheses, and then we'll put another option. So for comma, what if it's not regular honors? What if it's APIB? So we're going to put another possibility. So if A3 equals F13, if it says AP/IB, then, and we'll do the same VLOOKUP again. VLOOKUP, we're looking up this percentage, comma, using the same range. We're going all the way over to APIB this time. And then we're putting a comma and saying, well, what column do we want to output from? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. We want to output from the APIB column, so we're going to press 5, and we will press enter, and it should let's close our parentheses, and it should correctly tell us, okay, nothing changed because it's a regular class, but if I were to switch this to honors now, it should now switch that to a B. If I switch this to APIB course, it should update that now to a 5. We don't do anything for grade because the grade stays the same. We're only changing the value area. Now, it's a regular English class, so I'll put it back, but you can see how this will now update for me. Now, if you were following along last time, you'd think, okay, I can just drag this down and it'll work for all of them, right? It doesn't work. Why not? Let's troubleshoot this. So when I go to drag this down, it's taking every formula, every part of the formula, and it's taking that A3 and turning it into A4. The D13 and turning it into a D14 when I drag down. Some of these I don't want to drag down. The A3, yes, I want it to look for A4. But where it says D13, I want it to look for regular honors or APIB. So what I'll do here is I'm going to use what's called a absolute cell reference, which means that particular cell is not going to change as I drag down. So the A3, yes, I want it to drag down. The D13, where it says regular, I could just type regular in quotes, or I can lock in that D13 by putting a $sign before the D and after the D. And now that D13 will stay there. With E3, when it's looking up the percentage, I want it to drag down. This is already locked into an auto cell reference. And then this E13, I want to be an absolute cell reference as well. So put a $sign before and after the E. And the same thing on the last one with F13. Also going to put the range B14 to B18. This will also be an absolute cell reference. So I can put a $sign before and after the B and the E. Quick way to do an absolute cell reference if you're a PC user is to press F4. And now I've got my absolute cell references on those. As I press enter, and now when I drag this down, you can see it works for every single one. And if I were to change this computer class, turns out is not an APIB class, but it's an honors class, I'll switch that to honors and it adjusts accordingly. Or if my grade slips down to a D, it adjusts according to the scale based on whatever it says here in the scale area. So it's a little bit complicated. You have to make sure you get that VLOOKUP formula perfect, but once you have that set up, you don't need to make any additional changes, and you simply type in those percentages as you go. So this was part 2 of your GPA calculator series. This is how you added in different weights and scales into your GPA calculator. I hope this was helpful. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and if you have any comments, questions, concerns, queries, or suggestions, please leave those in the comments, and have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks for watching.